Um, the question I want to ask of us is, in this whole confusion that we are facing in in the religion as a whole, what do you think that will be an initiative that can facilitate harmony among religion, irrespective of their religious practices that divides? What initiative, practical initiative or methodology do you think that we all can practice from grassroots that can contribute to the global religious unity initiative? Thank you.
Beautiful question. Swamiji, James Ofu has been with us in this community for a long time. He is a peacemaker who goes into areas where there's tremendous violence between tribes of different religions, and he works in this kind of environment every day, just as background.
Yes, that there is actually one practical organization, actually it's called, that does work in this, you may know this, it's called United Religions Initiative, URI, and it was founded by a very good friend of ours, Bishop William Swing of the Episcopal Church. He was a bishop in San Francisco, and his was the United Nations shows that the nations can get together even though they have many conflicting interests nationally. Somehow the United Nations somehow manages to be an effective tool. But the religions have never managed to do that. So his idea was to found this United Religions Initiative. The hope is eventually there will be something called the United Religion, just like the United Nations. Right now, it's just an initiative. And it's very successful, and it has some 700 different organizations worldwide. Their basic philosophy is on the religious, in the religious details, there can be no agreement. Everybody argues with everybody else. So let us, and practical matters, work together. So in a practical questions, they get together and they work together. By working together, they see each other's humanity and they see the common ground, and that hatred and those negative things begin to melt away when one sees the reality that one can see the humanity, that is to say, one can see the reality of the ocean in every one of the waves. So that organization has been very effective in many places. In the Middle East, it has done wonderful things. In other places where there have been conflicts, it has done. The idea is cooperate on a practical level, and slowly you will begin to see the humanity in everyone, even the people you thought were very demonic.
Thank you, Swamiji. We're very fortunate that Charles Gibbs, who was working with URI for so long, has been a part of this circle. And Ofu, it may be that if you haven't already done so, finding time to get together with Charles could be very helpful. Resources. Preeta, I want to ask if you have any responses. You have worked for many years on a global level and on the interfaith level, and you're currently now on President Obama's advisory board of his Interfaith Community Council. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess my view is just the openness and spirit by which one listens to one another. I've found, I've said this to other people. I found that sometimes in interfaith dialogues that are kind of formally assembled, especially at the government level, it sometimes it doesn't lead necessarily to the deepest types of conversations, because I think there's a fair amount of representation, maybe a little bit of posturing is not the right word, but kind of I think people feel they're representative of something else, and they end up taking positions that sometimes kind of on a more individual human level is not the constraint. So I think just kind of informal dialogues, kind of opportunities to really interact with people and really open one's heart without having expectations, and being open to results in a way that sometimes kind of formal assemblies don't allow.
Thank you, Preeta. Your experience comes from many years and much work across the world.
I mean, I don't want to, there are people who can really break through those boundaries of religion, by that I mean by formal religion, by country, national boundaries, and have meaningful dialogues. But I find so often that happens on the that happens in the interstitial spaces of formal dialogue.
Thank you for those sobering reflections. Fu, any further thoughts on this, having listened to Swamiji and Preeta?
I think I got a very technical response from Preeta, talking about formal and informal dialogue. I think it's very helpful to hear that development from experience in the dialogue project. I think so. He has a lot of experience. Yes, I agree with her. Informal dialogue, because in the aspect of the formal dialogue, as she's saying, representatives. But when it has to do with informal dialogue, from her explanation, it has to do with a deep existential meaning that has to do with face-to-face engagement with the people, the people involved, the victim, or the people that have been in a difficult situation of violence. It has an experiential dialogue between the two instead of in a formal perspective. So I think the informal dialogue is a good approach. I think it's what we have been practicing, informal dialogue. It's my first time to hear it in this definition. I think what we have been practicing here is informal dialogue.
Informal dialogue.
Yeah. Yes, informal dialogue. I think it's what we have been practicing, and it's what has been giving us results, because it has to do with a transcendence of an individual perspective shift from formal to a new dimension that has to do with a change from heart communication through a compassionate change resolution from individuality or the other, by humanizing the other instead of diabolizing the other. So I think the informal dialogue is a good tool that we have been practicing. Thank you, Preeta.